Hey, it's Becky Fox here at the Criticalbench compound, and today I want to show you the top 5 exercises that you can do at home if you're a beginner. All right, so today I have 6 exercises for you that are going to work you from head to toe. So we want to make sure we're hitting all the body parts, the arms, the core, the glutes, the legs, and all that stuff. So these moves are going to work a little bit of everything, and they're great exercises to start with if you're just getting into working out. All right, first up, I'm going to start with a squat. Now we're going to use a chair for this exercise because it's going to really help you to perfect your form, especially if you haven't done a lot of squats in the past. And I love squats because guess what we're doing all day long? We're squatting up and down, getting up and out of that chair. So it's really important that we have that strength in those legs and that we do this properly, so we're doing it right all day long to really help protect our body and get the most out of our workouts. All right, so what we're gonna do, I'm gonna go ahead and just stand right in front of this chair here. Now you want your feet probably about shoulder width apart, maybe a little bit more. Everybody's a little different. You can have your toes forward, but a lot of times just turning them out just a little bit will help because sometimes there's some tightness in our legs. We might not have the flexibility to keep them straight. So this is just gonna help just a little bit. Now from here, I'm gonna sit my hips back, just like I was gonna sit down in a chair, like I am right behind me, and then come back up. Now I do like to reach with my hands because if this is the first time you're really doing a lot of squats, it is going to help you sit back and help you to feel more balanced. If you just sit back like this, you might feel like you're going to fall, so the hands just help to offset that a little bit. Now the key here is that you're pushing your butt back and you're getting into that chair. A lot of times what I see happen is people kind of squat like this, and you can see I would go flying and just like totally land on the floor if that's how I did my squat. So I really want you to focus on pushing your hips behind you, just lightly tapping on that chair. If you can't get all the way to the chair, that's okay too. Don't worry about that. Just pretend it's there. Sit your hips back just like you're sitting down in that chair, and that's really gonna help. Now your upper body, right? This is part of the move too. I know it's a leg exercise, but we wanna keep our chest lifted and tall and looking out in front of us, okay? So a lot of times what I'll see is people will kind of start to collapse into themselves as they come down. So maintain a nice tall frame here, look forward, and that's gonna help keep your upper body where it needs to be with this move. So sit it back and also make sure you're coming all the way up, standing up tall out of that move. All right, next up is a split lunge. This is also gonna work your legs just like that squat. So I'm gonna go ahead and just move this chair over here. We are gonna use it for balance if you need it with this move. So what we're gonna do is go ahead and take a nice big stance here. So we do wanna make sure our toes are pointed forward, okay, and that there's a little space between this foot and this foot. Sometimes people try to line it all up and then, woo, it's hard to balance like that. So give yourself a little space in there, okay, and we're gonna start nice and tall here. Now if you need to for balance, this is where the chair can really come in handy. You can hold on there if you need to. If you're feeling pretty good, you can keep your hands either on your hips or just out to the side, whatever feels comfortable for you, okay? So from there, what we're gonna do is stay nice and tall, and you're gonna focus on dropping that back knee down to the floor and then coming back up. So again, you can hold on to that chair if you need to, drop it straight down, come back up. Now I realize if you haven't done this move a lot, it might be tough to get really low. That's okay. Start with what you can do and what feels okay for you. So it might be just going about part way down and coming back up, okay? Now we want to think about driving this knee to the floor versus leaning forward into it, okay? So that's where keeping the body tall and focusing on this back leg can really be helpful with this exercise to help with that form. Ooh, and this one will burn those legs. You'll feel it all the way around glutes, quads, hamstrings, all that good stuff. All right, now you want to make sure you even out, so you want to do both sides. So I would just switch here. You know, you can hit about 10, 12, 15 reps, somewhere in there is a good starting point if you're new to working out. And then we just want to make sure we're getting the other side and doing the same thing. Keep that body tall. Hold on to something if you need to. Focus on that back leg, dropping down towards the floor and coming all the way back up nice and tall to the top. And again, take that depth, whatever feels comfortable for you. All right, from there, I'm gonna challenge your balance just a little bit. Now, I know that one did as well, but I have another one that's gonna be really helpful for you to work on your balance, but it's also really great for your legs and your glutes as well. I'm gonna move the chair just a little bit because, well, I don't wanna kick that because that's, that's not gonna help with my balance at all either. All right, so what we're gonna do, take your feet about hip width apart. We're gonna sit back just a little, not a full squat. I just want you to sit down into it just a tiny little bit, okay? You can pick a leg. We're gonna end up doing both, and you're gonna balance on it. So all my weight is on this leg here. So I can actually pick this one up, and I'm just gonna tap front, tap to the side, tap back, and then reverse it. Now I know this doesn't look like a whole lot, but woo! If you struggle with balance, this one is huge to work on your balance, and you'd be surprised how much this leg, just holding everything, all the work it has to do. So right here, I'm just lightly tapping to the side, back to the center, back to the center, and then I'm just reversing that direction. It gets that brain doing a little workout as well, trying to keep up with what you're doing here. So that's a really great balance. The cool thing about balance is it'll work the legs, but also core, right? Because if we're not balanced, right, we're gonna wobble from here. So keeping that core engaged as you do that move is gonna be really, really helpful as well. So not only is it gonna work your legs, it's gonna work that core as well. Now, of course, we wanna make sure we even out. So same thing other side, a little bit of a squat here. Tap to the front, back to the center. Out to the side, back to the center, take it back. Cool. I like to call these around the world because we're going around the world here. And we're just tapping, tapping. Awesome. Now it's normal to find like one side maybe feels more balanced or more stable than the other. That's actually really normal. So that's why it's important that we're actually doing one side at a time like this so we can balance that out a little bit. All right, from there, we're gonna go into some dumbbell rows. I love this move. We definitely wanna be working that back side. If you're spending a lot of time sitting at a computer where, we're rounded over, these muscles are not getting worked. So we wanna make sure we're working that back, not just for the muscle tone back there, but for nice, good posture. So grab a set of dumbbells. Okay, you wanna pick one that's challenging for you. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna take our feet and put them about right under our hips. Okay, so a little bit of space, toes are forward. Now, before I even show you this move, I want you to roll those shoulders down and back, get nice and tall with your posture, okay? So we're gonna sit the hips back, and we're gonna hinge forward, okay? So this is kind of our starting position here. So this is really important. I'm gonna show you this again because there's something you really wanna pay attention to, and that's keeping your shoulders back. So I want you to pretend like there's a piece of paper under your armpit, and you don't wanna let it fall out of there. So as I hinge forward, just like this, right? Because you can see the difference. If that paper falls, I start to round forward, everything comes loose. We gotta keep those shoulders pulled back. This is really important to help protect your back and to really get the most out of this exercise. All right, so this is my starting position. And from there, I'm just gonna drive my elbows to the ceiling, bring it back down. So you really wanna focus on driving with the elbows, not pulling with your hands. So sometimes people will pull up like this. And I want you to think about driving those elbows back and letting them down. Okay, so pull, squeeze, yes, and back down. Now watch where that head is, because again, I might want to do this, right? So we want a nice straight line. So if I had a pull in the back of my head, it would touch my tailbone. So everything back there is lined up. You can always do this in front of a mirror, or even shoot yourself with a, your iPhone or your camera phone or something, just to see what you look like if you need to. All right, so drive it back, and then make sure you're coming all the way back down. Okay, so full range of motion with those arms, just like that. Cool, and then when we're done, we're gonna stand up nice and tall slowly, and that is your dumbbell row. All right, next up is a push-up. So push-ups are really great to work your chest and your shoulders, but even your core as well. So one way to do it, you can always do it on your toes, but a lot of times for beginners, I find that's a little too much to do, especially with good form. So a great way to do it is on your knees, and I'll also show it on the chair here in just a second. But one of the things to keep in mind is we want to keep those hips down and squeeze. So a lot of times I'll see people kind of stick their booty back. Unfortunately, that's cheating. So let's get those hips down, whether you're on your toes or you're on your knees. Hands are going to be just outside your shoulders, and really try to keep a nice straight line from your shoulders to your knees as you drop your body down towards the floor. and then come back up. Now I realize if you're a beginner and you're just starting out, going all the way to the floor might be a little tough, so do what you can, right? If that means just going halfway down to start and back up, that's cool, or doing it on a chair like I'll show in a second. Now a couple other things, you want your fingers forward, so be careful about like turning them way out or, you know, turning them in or something like that. Get those fingers nice and forward. And again, make sure we're pushing all the way up at the top. So we want to come down as far as we feel comfortable, all the way if we can, and then push nice and strong through those shoulders as you come back. Now don't forget those hips, keep those hips down, engage through your belly, squeeze your glutes, just like this. Down, breathe in here, breathe out there, okay? Now, if you do need to modify this a little bit, like you have trouble doing that, you can do it on a chair. You could even do this on a wall as well, but let me show you on a chair. You could use a bench or a chair or whatever you have available, a coffee table, all kinds of things that would work really well for this. So what you're gonna do, same position, okay, same kind of idea, but now because we're elevated, we're pushing less weight. So it just makes it a little bit easier for us. Think of like using a lighter dumbbell. You're just using a lighter weight, that's all you're doing here, okay? Because it's really important to have good form when you're doing this. Sometimes we try to do a move that's too hard and our form kind of falls apart and we don't get really what we want to get out of that exercise. So it's more important to have good form than it is try to do the hardest, fanciest exercise, because then you're really just not going to get out of it what you want to get out of it. So right here, it's basically the same thing. We're just taking our chest to the chair and then pushing back out here. So you'll see when you try this, just makes it a little bit more doable for you. All right, next up is a plank. This is one of my favorite core exercises. I'm not a huge fan of doing a lot of crunches. I think especially for beginners or people that spend a lot of time sitting, like a lot of people do, we just have desk jobs these days and things like that. It's only gonna aggravate our necks and our backs. So I love planks because it really extends through the front of your body. Not only does it work your core, but man, it's gonna work your arms, it's gonna work your legs, it's gonna work so much, so you really get the most bang for your buck. So I'm gonna go ahead and move this chair out of the way because you're going to want to have you know, a lot of space for you to lay out on the floor. So just start down on your forearms, okay? So we're going to come right here and you just kind of want to get your elbows right under your shoulders, just like that. Now you can do this on your toes. So I'm going to lift up and come up on my toes. But if this is too much, just drop to your knees, similar to what we would do in a push-up. And just like a push-up, you want to keep your hips down. So what we don't want to do is push those hips back. This is cheating. And it's also going to take all the work out of the core, which I'm sure you definitely want to be working. So squeeze your butt down. That's how you know that your hips are down. If you can't really squeeze your butt if it's up in the air. So squeeze those glutes, get them down. Now tighten up through your core. Okay, and you're just going to hold here. So you can hold on your knees, you can hold on your toes, you know, just starting out maybe 20 seconds and working your way up to, you know, 30 seconds or a minute. And once you can do that on your knees, then it's time to move up to those toes. Okay, now upper body, what do we want to be thinking about here? Don't let those shoulders collapse down. So I want you to push away from the floor, stay strong in through those shoulders, and again, don't let those hips sag and don't let them come way up, okay? So if you look, I have a nice straight line from my shoulders down to my knees, or if I'm doing this on my toes, same thing. Nice straight line from my shoulders down to those heels. Okay, now another thing to keep in mind, make sure you're breathing. These isometric exercises like this, it's easy to hold the breath. So breathe in, breathe out, just like that. And then when you start shaking, you know this thing is working. All right, that's my top home exercises for you. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to give us that thumbs up. If you enjoyed these exercises and would like more ideas just like this, be sure to check out the isometric strength video because it's gonna give you a lot more ideas that you can do. They're similar to the plank where we're doing isometrics and really working that whole body. So make sure to check out that pinned comment and also make sure to subscribe so you can get more videos just like this.